welcome back to J.P.s World of Wrestling. I am your man, J.P. You'll have to forgive me if I sound a little bit off. I feel a little bit under the weather. My wife was sick last week, and now she's giving it to me. So, just bear with me. But I've got a little bit of time on my hands, so I thought we'd do a top 5 list. It's been a while since I've done a top 5 list, so this is my top 5 all-time top 5 Cowboy Wrestlers. Top 5 Cowboy Wrestlers. And first I'm going to start with the honorable mentions that didn't really make the list, but nevertheless, they deserve to be mentioned. Number 1 is Cowboy Bill Watts. Now, I don't remember ever seeing any matches of Bill Watts, but I know later in his career, he took over WCW. He took over direction of WCW. He was kind of controversial because he took away all of the mats around the ring, and he was just really stiff-nosed and just, it's my way or the highway, and, you guys need to keep it in the ring because the marquee says wrestling, not fighting or whatever, so I don't know, but anyway, Bill Watts deserves a mention here. And then the next 2 honorable mentions are tag teams. And the first one is the Smoking Guns. In the mid-90s, WWF was going with the new generation, and the Smoking Guns were tag team champions. At one point during the new generation, it was Billy and Bart Gunn, and they came to the ring with the trench coats and the cowboy hats and the boots, and they wrestled in blue jeans, and they did the handgun thing. Actually, they actually had real handguns, which obviously they fired blanks. They're not going to fire real bullets in an arena full of people. But anyway, the Smoking Guns, they later turned heel, and they were managed by Sonny, but then they broke up, and Billy Gunn went on to be one half of the New Age Outlaws in Bad A Billy Gunn, and then Bart Gunn ended up winning Brawl for All, and then we never heard from him again. So, who knows? And then the last one is another tag team. It's the Blackjacks. It was Blackjack Lanza and Blackjack Mulligan. Now, Blackjack Mulligan, he's the father of Barry Windham. And, they were a tag team in the 70s. I don't really remember much about them. I think I've seen like one old match that they were in or something. Maybe 2, maybe a couple. I don't know. But Blackjack Lanza went on to be an agent backstage, and Blackjack Mulligan went on to also do other things. But obviously, like I said, his son is Barry Windham, and Barry Windham's godson is Bray Wyatt. So, the late great Bray Wyatt. So, anyway, so let's get to this list. I'm going to start with number 5. And number 5 is Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen was really big in Japan. He was an American wrestler, but he was really, really popular over in Japan. He wrestled as a heel, but Stan Hansen, I think, is best known for his role in No Holds Barred. He was the tiny Wayner guy. He was in No Holds Barred, but he was also in WCW. I remember seeing specifically recently a match with him in WCW because he actually won the United States Championship from Lex Luger at one of these WCW pay-per-views. And he was known for his lariat move. It was just basically clothesline. But yeah, he would come to the ring with a cowboy hat, pulling a bull rope and all that, and the spurs on his boots and everything. So Stan Hansen. At number 4, I'm going with Dustin Rhodes, the brother of Cody Rhodes, the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, babies. But in WCW, now, when he went to WWF, of course, he was Gold Dust. That's not a cowboy wrestler. But when he was in WCW, he was the natural Dustin Rhodes. And sometimes he'd wear a cowboy hat to the ring, sometimes not. But he'd wear the jacket with cactuses on the back, and His entrance music was country. It's like, they call him a natural. I'm not going to sing the whole thing. That's the only part of the song I know. But anyway, he came to the ring. He was a cowboy wrestler. He wore cowboy boot style wrestling boots. Yeah, so anyway. And number 3 is a WWF wrestler. It's the Outlaw, Ron Bass. So Ron Bass, I remember him specifically because I remember him having a feud with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I remember seeing this on TV because he attacked Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and then he started using one of his boot spurs to cut open Beefcake's forehead. And I remember because they put a big red X on the screen that said censored, and then they went to Sean Mooney in the studio. But I remember seeing that because the red X didn't really cover anything. You could still see the blood and everything. And so, you know, they didn't really pixelate anything back then. It was just, oh, put a big red X there because it's blood. Like we've never seen blood before. Anyway, Ron Bass. And number 2 is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers ever. But he's one of the, I consider cowboy wrestler because he did the cowboy gimmick, especially in the 80s, but it's Terry Funk, the Funker. He, at WrestleMania 2, him and his brother wrestled on a tag team match, and at the Royal Rumble 98, he was actually in the Royal Rumble match as Chainsaw Charlie, but Terry Funk, you know, he would bring this branding iron to the ring. You know, he wore this hat, he had these sort of these green sort of cowboy pants that he would take them off. I think they were like stirrups or something. Oh, chaps. Yeah. Cowboy chaps. He had these green chaps, and actually his action figure had the green chaps on him as well. It came with a cowboy hat. But I always liked Terry Funk. Terry Funk would do these moonsaults off the top rope, and he was actually very agile, even well into his old age. He was still doing backflips off the top rope, so hooray, Terry Funk, my number 2 pick. And of course, my number 1 pick is a guy that I've actually met. And he is, of course, Cowboy Bob Orton. That's right, Cowboy Bob Orton. He was a big, big part of the mid-80s that I remember so very well fondly. He was always a heel. He spent a lot of his time hanging out with Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful. But then Roddy Piper sort of broke away, turned babyface, and Cowboy Bob and Orndorff were still together. Then Orndorff eventually became, well, actually, first Orndorff broke away, became babyface, and then Piper broke away, became babyface. Then Orton, I think, went to WCW for a while and wrestled there. But I remember specifically because back, Cowboy Bob Orton had this cast on his arm for like a really long time, and he'd use it in his matches as a weapon. And so, yeah, and I met him a few years ago at an independent wrestling show in Nixa here in Missouri. This independent wrestling show, they were doing it for the town festival in Nixa, the Sucker Days. And so Cowboy Bob Orton showed up, and he made an appearance, and he was taking pictures and signing autographs and stuff, and I got my picture taken with him. And it was very cool. I shook his hand and told him thanks for the memories, and told him I was a big fan of his son, Randy Orton. And yeah, it was fun. It was a fun deal. It was a good deal. And so anyway, Cowboy Bob Orton is my number 1 pick, and that's my top 5 pick for the top 5 cowboy wrestlers. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to get off here, maybe think of another top 5 list to do. So if you're new, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.